I'm Wendy Desabate from St. Thomas in the U.S. Virgin Islands. I currently live in Miami, or wherever my passport lands me. I love supporting others in learning how to live their best lives.
I'm Derek Lumpkins, a Boston-born globetrotter and photographer with the soul of a polyglot.
As lifelong friends, we're constantly talking about history, the arts, missed opportunities, and the road less traveled.
Welcome to Things They Don't Teach Us,
a podcast about life's tips, tricks, and insights.
Hey.
Hey, Derek.
How you doing?
I'm wonderful, thank you. How are you?
I am doing all right. No complaints. Just enjoying this beautiful day.
Where are you?
I am in Barcelona.
Oh, you're still in Barcelona. Okay.
I'm still in Barcelona, and you are in?
The lovely, sunny Miami today.
Okay.
It's very bright here. I mean, there's not a cloud. I mean, it sounds cute. It's a cloud in the sky. It's a balmy 78 degrees, but it's just really bright.
Yeah, but you moved to Miami for that, right?
Yeah, I guess so. The weather was definitely an appeal. Yes.
And what was it that drew you to Miami? Like, what got you thinking about it?
I came here in the 90s with my then boyfriend, and I fell in love with Miami. So it definitely was part of my future. I knew at some point I would live here. So even back then, it called to my spirit and my soul, and here I am. Some would say manifesting, but manifesting doesn't work if you don't actually do the acts or the actions to get to the point of your manifestation. If that makes any sense.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, like, it's one thing to like envision and dream and imagine, but if you don't take the actions behind it, or, if you don't plan it out and then execute those plans, then how are you going to make it happen?
Exactly.
I mean, unless you have like a team of elves in the background doing things for you. I mean, I don't know how you're going to make it happen.
Yeah, well, those elves only make cookies, though.
I was thinking more of Santa's elves.
Oh, well, that's another story. But today's, I'm sorry, continue.
No, I was just going to say, so, just in thinking about how I got here to Barcelona, so, I had visited a bunch of times. The first time was when I was in grad school in London. And so I was traveling around Europe, and I got to Barcelona. I was like, wow, this place is amazing. And that had always stuck with me over the years. And so, this is sort of like a little a pre-intro for our guest. So when I was working at a university in Boston, our guest is an alum of that university, and he would come by, he would stop by the office, and we would chat about things. And he eventually revealed that he had worked in the financial services industry, and then he helped people think about how to plan for the changes they want to make in life, or plan for the ways in which they can, reach some of their financial goals in life. And so he very generously helped me, because I don't think I was an official client, but he very generously helped me scaffold the ways in which I could sort of put together my finances and put together my ideas so that I could eventually make the moves I made in order to get to this part of my life where I have the freedom to choose where I want to be. So right now, here in Barcelona.
Yeah, and it's true. I mean, manifesting works, but the steps to get there, that's where the real meat and potatoes are.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, that's a great setup for me to introduce our guest today, sure. Nicholas T. Josey. Nicholas is the Vincita Institute founder, president, and executive director. As you said, he attended Northeastern University and obtained his BS degree in economics. After several years' work within the public sector, he began his business career with American Express Financial Advisors, which is great. He left American Express and went to Putnam Investment Group. In 2000, Nicholas left the advisor group to join Putnam Investment, where he served in two roles. Initially, Nicholas worked closely with many of Putnam's key executives and their family members in order to encourage them to increase their participation investments in Putnam funds and other investment vehicles. Shortly thereafter, he served as a retirement consultant, where the primary focus was preserving Putnam assets within its defined contribution retirement plans. During his tenure at Putnam, he attracted and retained more than $170 million in investment assets In 2003, Nicholas assisted in the formation of Pius LLP, where he refined his skills as an investment analyst. Mr. Josey left Putnam in mid-2004 to complete to complete the formation of the Vincita Institute.
Good morning.
I hope I did you justice.
I think you did.
I'm
You
so
did,
sorry.
you did a great job. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you.
Glad to have you.
And thank you for the invite.
And
No,
Nicholas,
thanks.
I have to ask, where are you in this beautiful day? What part of the world are you?
I'm in Boston. I'm
Woohoo!
cold.
It's out in
No.
Boston.
It's cold. It's about 30 degrees out. So you two of you are in better places than I am right now, physically, geographically, anyways.
Well, we won't say that. We won't say that. We'll just know that in our hearts.
Thank you. Don't rub it in.
Sure.
So I have to ask, when you're in first grade and they say to you, what do you want to be when you grow up? One does not say, I want to be a financial advisor. So how did that path go to be a financial advisor to where you are now?
Well, life happened to me and my family many years ago. And sometimes you get it, something bad happens and you got to turn it into something good.
True.
So we had an unexpected loss in the family.
Mm-hmm.
And I have 7 brothers and 3 sisters. And my dad didn't have all the resources to handle that loss financially. So, and this person was very, very important to me. And I said, I just knew that at the age where I was, I said, I want to make sure that didn't happen to anyone else's hero. And so then that kind of led me on the path of making sure that people had insurance. I said, so after graduation from Northeastern, I worked in the public sector for about 3 or 4 years. And then I embarked on my career in financial services.
Nice. A lot of us are not prepared because a lot of us think will tomorrow always happen.
And, part of what we do is, we learn something at a very early age, and some things, they just stick with us. And when life happens, many of us, it's not just my family, but many of us are simply not prepared. And when I speak to large groups, I talk to people about the importance of, it's better to be prepared for a situation and not have one than to have a situation and you're not prepared.
Girl Scouts, always be prepared.
Always be prepared.
It's true. It's very true. So explain to us the Vincita Group, please.
So the Vincita Institute is a Boston-based nonprofit organization. And when I left financial services selling, I knew I wanted to, there was a lot of people who, when I traveled around the country, I was speaking to people who had an idea of what I was selling, whether it was stocks, bonds, mutual funds, the various types of insurances or annuities. But what I was called back home and say, listen, you don't do more for outsiders than you do for home. That's just a sudden thing. I think it's a sudden thing because my family's from the South. But so it said to me that I needed to speak to people who didn't have the benefit of this knowledge and just try to educate them, not sell them anything, but help them to make better informed financial decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I saw the need to start a nonprofit that would educate people and essentially make sure they didn't get taken advantage of.
True.
So a lot of people wait until they're in crisis before they start saying, oh, I've got to pull these things together. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. Mm-hmm. When we have this term, a rainy day fund. Oh, if a rainy day happens, I'll have this fund ready. But people don't always have the fund put together. They don't have the funds in the fund. So, on a beautiful day when you don't have any pressures on your back or on your shoulders, when current events are in your favor, how do you even begin talking to people about thinking ahead, planning ahead in any sense? What's the door that, you sort of walk through to be like, this is why you need to start thinking about this?
Well, this is our 21st year, excuse me. I left, and a few years ago, we had this thing called COVID. Now, for many years, I was talking to people about the importance of saving for emergencies, for life-happening events, whether you're unable to work or you have a job transition or an emergency in the family. I always talked about that. I typically encourage people to say, listen, many people are one paycheck away from some really tough times, but you have control over that. So I really would love for you to work towards having 3 and possibly 6 months of your committed monthly expenses, like what you spend on a monthly basis, add that times 3 to 6 times, have that stashed away for you just in case life happens.
But are people receptive? Because I mean, like, if people are just one paycheck away from disaster, how do they get to the point where they're like, oh, I can save up a month or 2 months, 5 months, 6 months of savings?
Well, what's funny is way before COVID, we were talking about these things, and then I would get phone calls and emails saying, this is what you were talking about. Yes, not exactly. I didn't think we were going to have anything like COVID, but the people who listened, they said, thank you, because that cushion, it helped us a long ways until other benefits kicked in. So that was great. But and now in our current, I typically don't talk about religion or politics, but just looking at our current events, I ask people to, now would be a good time for you to look at everything you can do to put something away for yourself and protect yourself for the possibility of not working or on being displaced or I can't say that any other way. I'm lost of words. I'm so sorry.
No, I think you're hitting multiple nails on the head because there's so much going on. It's I guess that's sort of where I was kind of thinking about before we started this conversation is there's so much going on. I'm kind of wondering, how do people even plan ahead when things seem to be coming left, right, and center? Like you can envision something. So let's say someone is thinking, I want to buy a house in 5 years. But given, just all the ways in which things are coming left, right, and center, both from the government, from private employers, economically, who knows if there'll be another pandemic or something similar. Well, bird flu seems like it's becoming the new thing. What's the mindset that you take as someone who works with people who you want to get to think about planning ahead or thinking about how to plan ahead?
I'm on my 21st annual Prove Me Wrong tour. And I ask people to prove me wrong that it's a good thing to save for emergencies. I ask people to prove me wrong that insurance, life insurance, or different types of insurances are not important. And I ask people to prove me wrong that understanding and having or establishing an investment portfolio, prove me wrong that that's a bad thing. Tell me that's a bad thing. Tell me it's a bad thing to have something set aside for retirement. And then lastly, I ask people, I only focus on 5 things. The last thing I ask people to think about is estate planning. Well, I don't have $1 million. You don't need to have $1 million. If you have 2 nickels to your name, if you have a car, a house, kids you don't like, make sure you have an estate plan. Mm-hmm. And to piggyback on that, saving for emergencies, making sure that the estate plan, it sounds overwhelming, but it's really not. It's just basically having a will. The will says who's going to get my Al Green collection. My Uncle Lou, that my Uncle Lou's not going to get anything from my will. And if I die and I'm at my Uncle Lou's house, don't believe I die with my pockets inside out. That's just Uncle Lou. You need to have a durable power of attorney. That says if you're incapacitated for any reason, you have someone to take care of your personal and financial affairs, as there's someone that has your best interest in mind. And then also a healthcare proxy. That's part of your estate plan. But I do things in order. So the order that I shared it with you was savings, insurance, investments, retirement, and estate plan. We do one thing at a time, but they're all equally important to you.
Do you sit down with your clients and ask them what their ultimate goal is? So let's say their goal is to, beyond buying a house, let's say their goal is to live in Barcelona or live outside the US, and how do I get there?
That's a great question. Yes, absolutely. And where we don't sell products, but what we do is we help to educate people so that they know what these products are. Now, and the reason why a lot of people have shied away from this, sometimes you ever have a neighborhood person that had a get-rich-quick scheme, And
Oh,
he
yeah.
tries it out on everyone else, and then they get burned, and they say, I don't want any more investments, because that's what they presented it as investment. But if you educate people about what an investment is, there are many, many layers and many options available to them. But if you help them to understand the basics, then they're cooking with gas. Then they say, okay, now I feel better. I feel that I can make better informed decisions, and I know which one is going to be most beneficial to me and those closest to me. So education is key before we talk about the planning aspect.
True.
So it's fun, and it's never the same thing. It's you're meeting so many wonderful people. So we do a significant amount of financial coaching, and this is morphed into many other things: the financial coaching, the estate planning, and also probate. Some people don't think about the impact of losing a loved one, and their assets become frozen. Well, that's when we have to go to the courts and perform the probate processes.
How do you, and I don't know how to phrase this in the most politically correct way, but given the times, I think that's okay if I don't. How do you make sure this isn't just a middle class issue, a middle class conversation? Because there may be people who are thinking, I'm working class, I don't have these assets. Like you said before, like it doesn't matter if you have, a couple of dollars on a car, if you have $1 million on, multiple houses. So what are you, and and even people who have $1 million and a couple of houses might say, well, I don't need to do this, I don't have enough. What is it that you say to people to get them to think, okay, this is important as part of your planning for your life, regardless of where they are financially?
So the thing is this, I ask, who wins when you spend all your money? It's not you. I say that to the clients all the time. It's not you. I'm asking people to change their perspective of or their relationship with money. It's okay to save your money. You don't have to give everything away. You don't have to give it, like, for example, we talk about lottery winners and we talk about some professional athletes, not all. Typically, years after they've won the money, or they're no longer professional athletes, they've given it all back. And I say, oftentimes it's because they didn't have financial literacy. They didn't have an understanding of how money can compound, or how they can set money aside, how they didn't need to spend every single dime that came in. So even if you're at the lower socioeconomic strata, there's still something that you can do to make it better for you or those closest to you in the future.
That's true.
Do you ever have clients who think that, well, if I'm saving all this money, if I'm saving for retirement, or if I'm saving for investments, or if I'm saving for emergencies, this is going to take away from my enjoyment now. So if my paycheck is X amount and I'm putting away this much for savings, and then I have this much for day-to-day expenses, I'm only going to have this much left in order to enjoy when I'm used to enjoying this much. How do you convince people to get sort of past that barrier?
And that's people, I hear that often. And I said, you know what? There's this thing called deferred gratification. Now I talk about things, and we talk about things, there's four of us. But we talk about things that people really don't want to talk about. But if we don't talk about it, we don't solve problems in advance. So I'm encouraging people to do what's that's going to benefit them, not just now, but in the future. If you put a little something away today, you'll have an emergency fund. If you put something aside for insurance, I'm saying outside of work. Many people, so I have work benefits. Yeah, well, if you leave the job or if you get fired, those benefits go away. And they said someone blesses the child that always has their own. So make sure you have your own insurance. And then, yes, I'm asking you to put something aside. I want you to get in the game. And I use a perfect example. I said, well, I live in Boston, and I'm about a mile away from one of the largest financial institutions. And you pass by that institution or one of their offices every single day when you're on your way to go to spend money to buy clothes or go to the restaurant. So why not they advertising to you? Because there's no awareness. But once you become aware, you won't rush to the restaurant. You'll rush to make sure that your money's doing well at this money institution. So, and it's unfortunate that they don't advertise to people in lower socioeconomic stratas. But with education, it empowers you to say, yes, I earned the right. I deserve to be able to put my money here and watch it grow just like everyone else.
Well, we have this sort of generation of kids, I will say the social media generation, if you will, who watch way too much of the stuff and think that, okay, I can be an influencer. I can just travel the world. I mean, we've all seen the little tags where someone says, I'm going to Bali I'm leaving Wyoming or New York, going to Bali. I only have, $6 in my bank account. I'll get money in the future. Money will always come. And that's the thing. I've seen a lot of that. I have nieces and nephews, and I try to remind them, money will always come if you work. Money will always come if you put the effort into it. You just can't sit there, say, I'm going to go to Bali or wherever it is in the world, Thailand, and have a great time and not think about, what's planting those seeds for the future. So instead of taking 4 weeks vacation today, taking maybe 3 weeks or 2 weeks. Instead of staying at a Four Seasons or somewhere fabulous, staying at a decent Marriott, save a little money there.
Yeah.
What do you tell those kids? How do you tell them about planning for their future and not having too much of a good time now and try to balance it out of having, fun here and a little pragmatic values there? That's
I know many people want instant gratification, but I'll tell you this. I go back to where my roots. I have Southern roots. I'm a city boy with Southern roots. And so when I say that my family was dirt floor poor, not dirt poor, we had no floorboards. We had dirt floor. And this is a small town in North Carolina. And but my grandmother was a matriarch, and she just wanted each of us. I never got a chance to meet her, but the ones who subscribed to her teachings, she wanted each of us to do better than the previous generation.
Yep.
And they made major sacrifices, and they also said it's important for us because we received so much help. We didn't have anything, but we received so much help, so we understood the importance of helping others. Yeah. So they may not get it today, the young people, but they will. And I'm also asking people to be mindful of the debt that you're incurring. You can go to Bali and you're living the high life, but are you using credit cards to do that?
Yeah.
And are you paying 23, 25%? And instead of paying it, I'd rather you earn it in an investment portfolio. And I typically show you side by side. Listen, if you set aside this amount of money, this is what you'll have. But if you continue to put money on your credit card debt, this is what you're going to have. So I changed the focus from liabilities to assets, and slowly but surely, the young people really embrace it.
I'm horrified.
I'm actually glad you just said that young people are embracing it, because I was just about to ask the question. Do you find that the younger generation is rallying against capitalism? Because there's so many things I see on YouTube, I see on Instagram, where people say this is end stage capitalism. We have to work against this system. The system's not for us. So I'm actually really surprised that you just said that.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? I fight against gravity, but it's still there.
Yeah.
My principles are the principles. They're not mine. They're special laws that if we adhere to them, we will benefit from them. And it's not. And see, the thing is not everyone needs to be a mega millionaire, but just comfortable. And people achieving their own individual level of success, whatever that means to them. But having options, we want people to have more options than they did before they met us.
I'm horrified at the Venus flytrap of financial hellhole. I mean, with the credit card companies, they seduce you. If you buy, if you sign up for our cards, you get 20,000 points for your next flight. But only if you spend $3,000 within a certain amount of time. And if you don't pay it off, the interest rate that happens, it's like this cycle. But of course, they don't tell you that part of it. All they say is sign up for a card, 70,000 points. Guess what? That buys you 2 coach tickets to wherever you want to go. And I'm constantly horrified people fall for that.
You know what? Organizations and companies, large companies, spend millions of dollars in marketing.
Oh, yes.
And, so they have big budgets to talk about marketing and try to get money out of your pocket. We're a little nonprofit in Boston, and we're asking you to keep your money. You can't save too much money. You can't have too much peace of mind. And that's shifting the way people think, one seminar at a time.
One question about having a lot of money. So I use an online net worth calculator. It's more than a calculator. It's one that's run by a company because their goal is to get you to become a client. I've never signed up to become a client, but it's kind of cool to see the net worth, building over time or declining every so often. But one of the things that they will pop up in my dashboard every so often is say, you have too much cash. Your idle cash is just sitting there. And if you invest it this way, you could make more money by the time you retire, or by the time you hit whatever this goal is. So I just wanted you to comment on that, because you just said that you can't have too much cash, but then there's this company is saying that I have too much cash. Can you reconcile that for me, please?
I can, absolutely. That's another great question. So when I say you can't have too much cash, meaning when I want people to have an emergency fund, and I equate emergency funds with peace of mind. And I'll use an example in the seminar. I'll talk about, well, sometimes people will have a boss that's not so nice to them, and they know that you might be living from paycheck to paycheck. And do you think they put less pressure on you or more pressure on you when they know that you're living from paycheck to paycheck? But then you start to build up your peace of mind funds, your emergency funds, and that number means different things to different people. You could have, say, 3 months sitting aside, and then you might get that pop up, or you might have 6 months, and Derek, you might get that pop up. But you know what that number represents to you. And then what they're talking about is idle assets. That's what they're referring to. Assets that aren't working as hard as they could be. But once you reach that magic number that you feel comfortable with, what you go to sleep and you know that money's there, then we can say, okay, great, that's enough. Now let's put the additional money in another category, maybe towards investments, and then also understanding the investments in whether it's safe, aggressive, or super aggressive. So it has to fit your timeline and your risk tolerance. That's where the education comes in.
So basically, you're telling people they need to start saving their I don't give a bleep fund. That money where you're like, I don't care, I'm out.
No, actually, I call it the FU, forget you fund.
Oh, that's a very polite way of saying it.
That's the nicest way I can say it.
Nice.
So
nice.
You want to have that magic number, whatever that magic number is for you. Yeah. And if you feel that you're not being appreciated, or people want to say whatever they want to, you say, you know what? I looked at my account, this popped up. Forget you, I'm out.
It's funny. People will say things like, oh, I can't accomplish that. I can't do that. But I will say, well, if somebody told you, I mean, using girl math, if you will, Neiman's was having a sale. All these expensive shoes are now $100. You'd find that $100. Somehow you'd find that $100. And it's whatever your Achilles heel is for a good time.
Yeah.
JetBlue's having a sale. All of a sudden, you have no money to put towards your future, but JetBlue's having a sale on tickets for $100. You could find $100 to buy a ticket.
See, and we want to encourage people to build up assets. That's not the conversations that many people have at the dinner table. We're talking about assets. Assets are things that appreciate or increase in value over time. Liability is just they decrease and they take away from you. I mean, if you got kids, I got kids. I don't like them so much, so they're still liabilities. But once they turn the corner and start, I want to return on my investment. But that's what I mean. Literally, I'm asking people, listen, do you really like that kid? Like, what are they doing? What are they contributing to the household? And you know what? They can't play with that PlayStation all night. There's electric bills. Give them an electric bill, and then they'll shut that off real quick. So help these people, these little broke roommates. Let them be responsible. Let them see what it's like.
I hear the fire in your voice. It sounds like this is from personal experience.
It is. I'm sorry. I got a counseling session in 2 hours.
Okay.
Let's talk about.
I had a hard time. It's funny. Once I understood the value of cars and them being a liability and a depreciating asset, I've never been into cars, and it would always blow my mind. You have somebody who barely got any money, and I know they don't because they tell you they don't, but then they want to run around a brand new BMW. It's like, why? Well, the status of the appearance of status seems to be so important to us, and that's been drilled into us, the appearance of status.
You were hitting the exact thing I was just going to ask, which is, Nick was talking about assets, and then I started thinking, what about status? Because, people want a car, which is an asset, but it's a depreciating asset, or they want a house, which is, I think, an appreciating asset, but also people want them for the status. They want a certain type of car or a certain house in a certain location because of the status. Yeah. So like, Nick, I mean, you can talk about this.
Maybe there's a kind of place for it, but overall, I don't get it.
Definitely. But like, when you're thinking about getting this asset, how do you work with people? How do you get people to think, get the asset, but up to the point where it makes sense, not to the point where it's like just for the status?
So typically the things that we purchase. So here's the rule. When you spend money, that doesn't come back. When you invest money, typically that comes back. So when I spend money on a car is not an asset unless it makes me money. So I buy this for $30,000. What is it going to be worth 5 years from now? And do I still have a car note? So it depreciated over time. My clothing, I spend money on my sister spends money on red bottoms, but am I going to be able to turn that around and get more money back? No, they depreciate. So they're not assets. So I don't call an asset unless it pays for itself. Kids, cars, clothing, unless they pay for themselves, they're not assets. They're liabilities. They depreciate over time. And now, I think I have negative numbers for the value of my kids right now. Listen today. But the thing is, everything we buy, we have clothing. It looks nice. It looks trendy. And I ask people, do you want to look good or do you want to feel good? And some people say both. I said, no, one or the other. Do you want to actually, and when you feel good, you don't have to impress anybody else. And I'll tell you this, one person who told me many years ago, he says, Nick, knowledge, wealth, and power, if you truly have them, you never have to flaunt them.
True. Very true. Yeah.
So if you don't have to pay full price for things, I ask these young people, you're on your phone all the time. Use those coupons. We got CVS. We have, every store that you go to typically has an app. So why not look for an opportunity to save money? Whether it's Stop and Shop, you're shopping, or oh my goodness, I'm thinking about a store in Florida. Oh boy, what's the big grocery store?
Publix.
What is it?
Publix is the big one here in Florida.
Publix, yes, Publix. But every store has an app, and you can click the coupon, and you're saving money. So every chance you get to save money, that's money you didn't spend. You can put it in your win column, and it builds you up.
But anyway, that's one side of it. But what humors me or surprises me or it constantly horrifies me is the luxury assets. Buying that right purse, buying that right piece of jewelry, buying that car, that because you feel that by having that is going to show people how fabulous and how wonderful, how much your worth is. And it's sad that we buy into that. That's the thing that blows my mind. People actually believe it.
And my mentor, who I just referenced, who told me about knowledge, wealth, and power, when I met him, he looked a little homeless, and then He looked homeless. He came into the office and then he showed me his portfolio. I'm like, because I was trying to get him as a client, and then he became a friend. But I was amazed. He says, I don't have to. He says, I drive a cheap car to work. It's not an asset, Nick. But when I came to his home, that's when you saw the nice home. Everything was well appointed. He had the nice cars there, but he didn't have a need to show it to anybody. He says,
yeah.
If you know exactly who you and what you are, what do I care? And I tell people this. I said, if you're not feeding me, financing me, and there's another F, I can't figure that out. If you're not doing that, then I'm not trying to spend money to impress you. My 3 Fs.
So you're reminding me of Warren Buffett, because Warren Buffett, when you see him, he just looks like any old average guy. I think he still lives in the same house he lived in when he was a child.
Yeah, he does. Yeah,
in Oklahoma or Arkansas.
Oklahoma.
He bought it as an adult, but he's been there more than 60 years. He bought it in the 50s.
Yeah. So on the surface, it doesn't look like anybody, amazing.
Oh, that's Omaha. He's in Omaha.
Omaha, yes, which is Nebraska.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And the only reason I know that is because I went there.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I
knew
knew
it was either Oklahoma or Omaha. So I knew it was one of
Omaha, and I actually knew someone. The gentleman has passed, but they actually went to university together. And we were visiting Omaha, and he drove us past his house.
Oh, wow.
It was the craziest thing. It's a little ranch.
Yeah.
In the suburbs.
But yeah, so just connecting that to what Nick was just saying, about his mentor not looking homeless. I'm not saying, Mr. Buffett, if you're watching, I'm not saying you look homeless, but he just looks like, just sort of the average run-of-the-mill guy you see in any financial district in America. But yeah, he's one of the richest people in the world. So there's some, and even what was his name? The guy who was the head of Apple before Tim.
Yes, Steve Jobs.
Yes, Steve Jobs. He looked like the average guy. And then who was the head of Microsoft? I should know these people.
Bill Gates.
Bill Gates, yeah. He also looks like just the average guy.
They don't look anything. There's nothing special about them.
There's really nothing special about them at all, except their minds.
In terms of their appearance, yeah. I mean, Then you watch the sort of the entrance to the Super Bowl the other day, and these boys are like dressed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, don't get me wrong, they look good, but the amount of some of those outfits cost them some people's homes.
Oh yeah, including their own homes.
And I ask you, when I see Warren Buffett draped in platinum, then I might start wearing platinum too.
Yeah.
Mm.
And Warren Buffett has a few more dollars than the professional athletes and entertainers.
Yeah, it's the pinch.
They're not assets. My question to you is this: can I buy that platinum change that you just bought and take it back and get the same amount of money back for it?
Mm.
No. So clothing, jewelry, anything that we consume, anything that we spend our money on, typically it's going to be worth less if we were to try to turn around and give it right back. Perfect example is when you buy a car, typically it depreciates 10, 20, 30% as soon as you roll it off the lot.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want that back unless they give you a 30-day guarantee. Said, listen, if you don't like it, bring it back. But they already spent that commission check, and they don't want to see that car come back.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's true. But you ask great questions, and this is wonderful. I'm glad that we're we're trying to change the mindsets and the concepts, and many people that look like us have subscribed to we have to look good. But who you want to look good for? Yeah. How about the people that are behind closed doors, the people on your team? Those are the only people I try to impress, not anyone outside of my home who doesn't know me, doesn't care about me.
Right. I mean, part of it, I think, is just culturally in the United States, we vilify people for being poor. I mean, a lot of times it's not your fault if you are born in a certain social class, but you are literally vilified for being whatever social class you are, especially if you're a lower social class. And if you're wealthy, you're seen as being this amazing person, but you may not even have deserved that. You may have just been born at a certain point in your parents' financial life. So I mean, part of it is what's drilled into us, and part of it is also just what's culturally happening in the country as well.
And you hit the nail on the head. And I'll tell you this: for some time I was in the middle class, had a middle class upbringing, lived in the Boston suburbs and in different parts of the country, as my mom was in the Coast Guard. But then when things didn't work out, I was taken in by my aunt and uncle, and they had retired, and they lived directly across the street from my future university, Northeastern. They lived in the housing projects. But the thing is she was my aunt was the matriarch of my family, and she just taught me about the importance of being kind to others. Make sure you don't count the costs. And she wanted me to make sure that I got my lesson, my education, because she didn't get a chance to. And she raised so many wonderful people, and we're doing great things because of her teachings. And she didn't necessarily have a whole lot of money, but she had a wealth of knowledge. True. So that's what we try to put out there. And there's so many more people that are doing great things, and there's no direct correlation by how much money that they have, but they're doing good stuff out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Very true.
And, this overall conversation, even going back to the very beginning, where you said you should know your number, it ties in with an episode that Wendy and I did on FIRE. So financial independence, retire early. And one of the things that we talked about was when you're thinking about retiring early is to know your number. So, if you're not at your number yet in terms of how much you need to have saved or how much you need to have as passive streams or other streams of income on a regular basis, then you need to know that number so that you can get to that point. And then once you reach that point, your options begin to widen. So, this is if people haven't watched that episode, they should watch that episode after watching this one. Because I feel like there's a continuity between the two of them.
True.
And actually, Nick, you were the one who helped me think about the continuity from hitting my number so that I could get to FIRE. So the two of you actually are part of what got me to where I am right now.
Happy to be a part of your team.
Fuego.
So when do you want to do the final question?
So Nick, one of the things we asked our guests is, what did you wish you learned? What did they not teach you as a young man growing up, to get to where you are? What did you wish you had known? What things they didn't teach you? Yes, that's the question.
I wish that people taught me about the importance or how powerful money could be. I wish I knew then what I know now.
What the power of money. For me, actually, it was credit, your credit score. I mean, I was lucky. I didn't get too bad when I was young, but when you're in your late teens, early 20s, and you're in college, and they start throwing those pamphlets at you left and right, telling you to sign up. I mean, my pothole in the road was very small, so I was able to get out of it very quickly. The minute I realized, oh my God, what am I paying for? I got out really fast. Mm-hmm. But I've known people, and we all have known people that have gone down the chasm of credit card debt, and they will never dig themselves out.
No. They can come back, come back, and they'll still be in debt. So, yeah. But money is a powerful thing, and but also education. I really wish that more and more people had this education so that they can make better informed decisions and move themselves forward and upwards.
100%. 100%.
Yes.
All right. Well, Nick, we thank you for your time. We appreciate your insights and the information that you provided us. For those of you who are watching, if you have questions or comments, please send them to us. We love getting questions and comments. It really helps fuel our conversations, and we always pass them on to our guests. So, the guests like to get those as well. And with that said, save up, plan ahead, and we will see you on the next episode of Things They Don't Teach Us. Take care.
Thank you.